Well, thank you for having me. I just wanted to open briefly with talking about our previous game with Drake. We couldn't have been happier with how our guys played. I think we saw, for the first time in probably a couple weeks that we were able to jump on the team early, instead of playing from behind. And I think that was big for our guys' confidence. I think their energy level rose with every shot that we made and with the amount of defensive stops that we were able to get. So from a coaching perspective, that was very good to see. To see the balance in scoring between Bennett Cook, Jordan Ashton, and Jeremy Morgan was also very good to see as well. And then touching on Bennett, I think he played probably his best game of the year on both ends of the floor in that game. So it was fun to be out there, fun to get a win, and hopefully build on that win for the rest of the Valley Conference. Any questions?
Talk about Loyola. What do you have to do differently in the rematch after they beat you at their place earlier this year?
I think the biggest thing for us is containing them defensively. I think at their place they were able to get us stretched out. They got a lot of guys that can shoot the basketball. I think they're one of the best shooting teams in the country. In the top 25, I think, in field goal percentage. So I think we played a lot of attention on that. We were running out at shooters. And they were able to get downhill on us and then spray it for a wide open three. So containing dribble penetration, I think, is going to be huge. Containing Milton Doyle in the ball screen, he hurt us in the first half at their place. And then for us is continuing to build on our offense. I think at their place, we started to open up our offense a little bit more, moving the basketball, and we've been doing that for the last few games. And I think we're finally getting to a point where our guys are really comfortable with that offense, and hopefully putting them in situations that they had us in, with us spraying the ball around and getting open threes and getting it inside as well.
Talk a little bit about Bennett. Was he, because he had such a good game, was he a focus offensively going into the game, or did it just evolve that way?
Bennett's always a focus for us. He's one of the best scorers in the Valley in the paint. So every game he's a focus for us to get it into. There's certain times where teams will double team him, which obviously will limit his effectiveness at times. But in this game, I think he played with really good energy. He was able to get the ball, just his initial catches were closer to the basket, which for him probably doubles his field goal percentage. When I think if he can catch it, 4 or 5 feet from the hoop, he's as good as it gets as far as with his jump hook. I think he shoots at it like a 75% clip. So for him, I thought he just did a nice job of trying to get the ball deep, and being a little bit more dominant about wanting the basketball as well. And he put together probably his finest offensive game in the last 10 games or so. It was fun to watch, and I think that's something that we can continue to build on. Loyola's they're gonna double team him a little bit more, so his catches are going to be, it's going to be even more important for him to catch it closer to the basket, where he can catch and turn and score it quick. But from a confidence standpoint, I think he started to get into a groove, and hopefully that can continue for us.
Dante Ingram's the guy that really hurt you. Doyle's got the name, but Ingram had a double-double with 25 points, 10 rebounds. Do you have to do something special to him tomorrow night, or?
We have to be just a little bit more aware of him. Going into the first game, we knew he could shoot the ball well, but at the time he was still doing a lot around the basket. He was driving it a lot. But the more we've watched him, he really likes to shoot the three-pointer. So that's an area that we're going to have to pay a little more attention to. I think he hit 4 or 5 in the first game. But he is a tough matchup. He's an undersized 4-man. At times we might have to play some smaller lineups, maybe moving Clint to the 5 when they have Jackson at the 5 and Ingram at the 4. I mean, their biggest guy in that lineup's about 6'5". So we may have to go down a little bit in size to match up with him. But either way, I mean, he's just a tough matchup. With how much they move the basketball, he gets a lot of good open looks because they have three guards that can shoot the ball. So, but more than anything, I think we'll make our switches to stay in front of him and try to get to the arc to contest his three-point shot.
They're not the biggest of teams. Is this another game where Bennett Cook can be featured in the offense?
Yeah, we would love for that to happen. I think we tried to get it into him at their place. They doubled him a little bit, which limited his effectiveness a bit, but it will be a feature. I think if we can get it to him on the block, even if they double, I think it should open up some open looks for us. If he can have a little strength against a double team and find the open man, I think we can make their double team pay a little bit. You know, and even watching their last game and watching the Wichita game, those two teams were able to get it inside and score a bit against them. So it is possible to get it inside and score, and I think that's going to be one of our focuses in practice today is trying to continue to get Bennett the ball in areas where he can be really effective.
I know one game or one win doesn't make a season, but what have you noticed with your guys coming off that victory Sunday, just getting back together now?
Yeah, we've noticed just a few more smiles. I mean, we've had, surprisingly, with an 0-5 start, we've had a really good group of guys in terms of their attitude. They've approached practice, you know, with the same mentality throughout this whole Valley season, and whether it's a win or a loss, it hasn't really changed how they've had their focus at practice. And for us, that's a good thing as coaches, because if we don't have to deal with trying to pick them up or bring them up, you know, then we can just focus on coaching. Then, you know, it helps us out. But you know, with the win, I think it just gives them a little bit more confidence. I think seeing the basketball go in from the three-point line, I think is great for our guys. We rely heavily on the three-point shot, and for us to make a few, I think, can help. And then playing at home, I think, has been a big thing for us too. To get 2 home games or back-to-back home games, I think is going to be really big for our team as well.
Last week, Bob brought up something to Coach Jacobson about a coaching change. You're not here because of a coaching change or something, are you?
No, absolutely not.
That was a break I was talking about. Killing me here.
Wanted to clear that up.
Any other questions?
How can you tell, other than the ball doesn't go through the hoop, how can you tell, whether through mechanics or the attitude of the player, when they're trying to force that three when it's not there?
The easiest way we can tell is we look at their footwork a lot. You know, if they're rushing their footwork, then it means that they're rushing their shot. And the other one is just shot selection. If there's a defender's hand is very close to when they're releasing the basketball, I think for us that's not the greatest shot selection that we could get on a possession. You know, the threes we would like to take would be open ones where they have time to step into their shot and go through their full routine that they do when they shoot, you know, in practice or by themselves. So we try to look at that a lot. You know, if they're rushing a shot, more times than not, it's not going to go in. So that is a big thing that we focus on, and then the quality of the shot kind of goes with that. If it's a contested shot, we've talked to them a little bit more about trying to turn down some of those shots and try to drive it and maybe turn down a fairly contested shot to try to get a better look.